Howdy, howdy, everybody. It is Crystal Green. Today is May 18th of 2021, and this is my Facebook video documentation of my Bible reading, or my Power 3 reading. Today's 2 Kings 25 through 1 Chronicles chapter 2. And, fetters. I'm just going to start out with the word fetters. Fetters is a chain or a shackle for the feet to restrain from motion, action, or progress. Now, fetters could be a multitude of things, whether it is basically a bracket around the neck connected to a chain, the bracket through the nose, as people had done to cattle to cull them into submission, because that's tender skin here. Or at the ankles, shackled at the ankles or shackled at the wrist. In addition to this, it depends on how you look through it, whether it's Babylonian or Assyrian, and so on and so forth. Let's not get too deep into that. Know that fetters is essentially a chain or a shackle. So, quote, "Then they killed the sons of Zedekiah before his eyes, put out his eyes of Zedekiah, bound him with bronze fetters, and took him to Babylon." 2 Kings chapter 27, verse 7. So I started doing my research, as you know I do. And per the jewishvirtuallibrary.org website, I looked up a few things in reference to Zedekiah. So I remember looking this up last year and thinking, oh, his family was killed before him, the last thing he saw. And yes, God told him if he didn't surrender, this was going to happen. But I got a little more actually out of it this year. So, Zedekiah was listed as the last king of Judah, originally called Mattaniah, Mattaniah. His name was changed by Nebuchadnezzar. In the Bible, the Jewish Virtual Library says that the Bible describes him as lacking of self-confidence, vacillating, a weak ruler. So I really started looking at this a little differently. So Jeremiah had been delivering the Lord's messages, mind you, and I believe this was in Jerusalem. And then Zedekiah was approached and appointed by King Nebuchadnezzar of Babylon as king. So Jeremiah is imprisoned, and secretly he's visited by Zedekiah, back and forth. Zedekiah dislikes the Lord's messages. Zedekiah doesn't stand up for Jeremiah, seeks his counsel over and over again, but he doesn't follow it, but he still seeks it in secret. Quote, "But I am afraid to surrender," the king said, and this is King Zedekiah, "for the Babylonians may hand me over to the Judeans, who have defected to them, and who knows what they will do to me." This is Jeremiah chapter 38, verse 19. So I went back and looked at chapter 38:19, because that's where Jeremiah is actually speaking out. He's being prophetic. He is listening to God's word, and he's announcing it. He is spreading that information to any who are ready to hear. So Zedekiah, King Zedekiah, mind you, is too fearful to follow Jeremiah's word, which is God's word. Jeremiah is only delivering the message that God sent him. So had King Zedekiah surrendered and listened to Jeremiah, like the Lord said, quote, Jeremiah replied, "You won't be handed over to them. If you choose to obey the Lord, your life will be spared and will go well for you." Jeremiah 38, verse 20. So just right after that, right? 19:20. So had he listened, had he surrendered, God would have walked King Zedekiah through all of it. But instead, what happens? Exactly what God told him would happen if he didn't listen, which is horrible. They killed Zedekiah's children. They killed those who were ruling with Zedekiah before they put his eyes out. So this is the last thing Zedekiah sees. The last thing he gets to see. They pop his eyes out, essentially. They put him in bronze fetters. They force him to submit. And they still took him to Babylon. So I started thinking, What as a nation, what as a people, what as Christians, what as people in this day and age are we afraid of? What really are we afraid of? What is God actually speaking into our lives, right? What is he currently speaking into your life? And what are you being fettered by? What am I being fettered by? What is holding me to the point where I'm not able to move? Things that are sensitive are pierced and used to force me to do what I don't want. What is the devil attacking each and every one of us with? Those are great questions. Those are questions that popped up. Just those three. What are we afraid of? What is God speaking into our lives? And what is being used as a fetter upon our worship, upon our reading, upon our discovery as to what God has for us each and every day? Really good questions. I think those are hard and tough questions. So I will be looking at those myself. Y'all can look at those yourselves if you want as well. So that's it for me today. Yeah, that's it for me today. That's a lot to chew on. Of course, if you go into Chronicles, that's a great place to look for the lineages. Not so heavy as Numbers and Deuteronomy, but very, very, very important to look through. Don't hesitate to go back and look at other verses to connect you to what is being spoken into your life right now. Connect the dots. That's why we have the Bible, right? God gave us a living word. He gave us his word. Use it. Why not? So, have a great day. Enjoy this rain. Think of the nourishment. Think of how there was a time where it was held for 3 years. There was no rain for 3 years. And then it was finally blessed. Think of the prayer over the cloud getting bigger and bigger, and the refreshing rain replenishing our spirit. Think of today as something that is replenishing your spirit. Find something. Water your soul with it. Create this garden that God has blessed us with. Bye-bye.